On this week's video, in the pursuit for more heat from the Samurai, we build a do-it-yourself, snap-on winter front.
Sponsored by TRE 4x4BC.
All right, welcome back to Fabbin Adventures, guys. Today we're building a winter front for the Sammy, and I already installed a thermostat, and we're just in search of more heat from the Samurai. If you guys have been watching my channel, you've seen the last video that come out. We did some wheeling, and the trip home, the hour trip home on the highway was pretty brisk. So wheeling the Samurai, you're going slow speed, there's not much air going through the radiator, and it puts out good heat. If you watched the previous video, I can put a link up here to where I did the heater clean out, and that helped big time. Cleaned out the heater, it put more airflow through and built better heat for the Samurai. But on the highway, you're peeling down the highway doing 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, and the wind is going through the radiator and it's just cooling her down faster than the engine can build heat. So one way to combat that is putting a winter front on the front of the Samurai to stop the airflow from going through the rad. Yet at slow speed, it still pulls enough air in around the winter front to keep it cool. And the other thing is to put in a thermostat. Maybe the thermostat was sticking open and cooling it down too much. And you can test that by putting it into a pot of boiling hot water with a thermometer in there and seeing just where it opens and closes and see if it sticks. If it sticks open, then the coolant goes down through there too much and it doesn't hold back the coolant in the engine to build up heat. So that the purpose of a thermostat is it sits in your engine like this. Your engine's underneath here. Your water is getting hot. When it hits a certain temperature, which this one happens to be 82 degrees Celsius or 180 degrees Fahrenheit, when it hits that, the spring contracts and it opens it up and it lets the coolant go through the radiator, cool into the radiator, and then come back into the engine as cooler water. And then once it cools down enough, the thermostat closes to build heat up into the engine again. So this thermostat's constantly going up and down and up and down. So if it sticks open, then the coolant is constantly cycling and you can't ever build enough heat up in the old Samurai. So it's possible that it's sticking open, or it's opening way too early, or whatever. The spring could be weak and it's opening way too early or something like that. So I changed the thermostat to try it out. It seems to be putting out good heat, opening when it should be, and I never bothered testing the old one. But I'll just kind of run through it on the Samurai on how to change it. It's very simple and anybody can do it, even if you got zero experience, mechanical experience. It's 2 bolts and draining your rad. It's super simple. So let's get to building this simple winter front out of this piece of, I'm not sure what it is. It's a piece of material I had. I think it was like a bikini top for a Jeep or something. And I think it'll make the perfect winter front for the Samurai. All right, so for some of you guys that don't know what a thermostat looks like, this is what a thermostat looks like. So basically your coolant gets to a certain temperature underneath where the spring part is on there, and it contracts the spring and it opens up the plunger, which is hard to tell, but is basically the spot underneath this here little triangle part, and it opens up and it basically lets the coolant flow. A real simple little piece of equipment that you definitely need to have working properly in your vehicle. All right, so here we're gonna just do it real quick. Right down here is your thermostat cover, and you just have to undo those 2 bolts, take them out, and the cover comes off and your thermostat is underneath there. The other thing you have to do is put a bucket underneath your radiator, and probably won't be able to see it because it's too dark, but there is a drain right down here. You just have to open up the drain and drain your coolant into the bucket. And once your Once your coolant gets low enough in the radiator and down in the engine, the coolant won't come rushing out of here. If you don't drain your radiator and you just undo these bolts and think you're going to take that off and change your thermostat, you're going to have a big old coolant mess. It's going to be pouring all over here down into your alternator and whatnot. So you got to drain the radiator first, and then I take a punch and I smack these bolts down a couple times because they're a steel bolt going into an aluminum body and they tend to seize. So just give them a couple of raps with a punch on top and then break them free. That way you don't break off a bolt like I've done before. So all you got to do is drain your radiator into a bucket. Try and save the coolant. If you can't, just go buy some more coolant. You can get it pre-mixed for when you need to add it back in there later. You give the 2 bolts a rap with a punch, break them free, take the cover off, take your thermostat out. It's going to come basically straight out like that. There's a rubber seal around this. Peel that rubber seal off real carefully because you need to put it onto the new thermostat. Throw this one away. Take your new thermostat with the new rubber seal on there. Drop it in there. Make sure it seats properly. Put the cover back on. I like to use a little bit of thread sealant on there. And then put your 2 bolts in. Torque them down. Close up the bottom of your rad. Refill your rad. And then you have to make sure you get all the air out of it. And then you're done. It's really simple. So let's get to building this winter front. So all I'm going to do is take a measurement of the grill here. This is where the air rushes through your radiator, and we want to close this off. So we're going to call that 27. We're going to add an inch on each side so we can wrap that material around. So 29 by 8 or 29 by 10 is what we need to cut out of that material. Okay, let's start out. I thought I could use this top folded seam to keep it nice, but it's like on an arc. So we're just going to take and draw a straight line on this material and then make basically a square. Ten inches by 10 inches by 29. Okay. We'll just cut that out now, and we'll be good to go. So I'm just going to draw some lines here where I want to fold it back on itself. I went with an inch folded back on itself like that much. That way I can put these snaps in there and they'll be reinforced. And I usually carry these in my camper for repairing the boat tarp, but it's going to work perfect for this here winter front. So now what I'm going to do here, or attempt to do, is fold this on our line like we want, and then staple it because I don't have a sewing machine. Look at that, works perfect. So don't laugh too hard. All right, there's our cheesy winter front right there. Now we're gonna add our buttons. So now we're gonna just drill a hole. Try not to drill into your fingers. And you basically just run your button thing through here. And then we'll just take this flaring tool. And there's your snap. And those snaps will just get snapped into these drill-in type button. So let's do the rest of them. All right, we got our 5 snaps in there, and these are just a screw in. I don't know if you can see it. These are just a screw in type snaps. We'll just drill a couple holes in the grill, screw those in, and then our winter front will be snapped on. So we're basically going to just drop this in where we want it, and then want to stretch it a little bit. Figure out where we need to drill our holes. This plastic isn't going to hold a whole lot, so guys are going to have to be real careful. And I think it would have been better off to maybe attach it to the green part of the Samurai. Just don't overstretch those. See, I think it would have probably been better to attach them here and here and there, but she's done and it's going to work. So I'll just finish drilling these bottom ones. There we go. There's our winter front for the Sammy. It would be nice to have a little door in here to be able to open up. And we'll see. I guess the other thing I could have did was made it so I could unsnap this corner and snap it down here. I might need to add some snaps down here. Wind might still get up underneath there. All right, so I'm just loading up the Samurai to go wheeling tomorrow. And I got one more tip to show you guys. I insulated the roof of the Samurai. The Samurai's roof is a huge surface area that cools down. And like I said earlier in the video, when you're peeling down the highway, the wind effect that's cooling not only the radiator is actually cooling the body of the Samurai down, and you lose a ton of heat out the roof. So all I did was got some bubble wrap, cut it to 34 inches, stuck it up in there, held it in with a little tape, and then I used some of these cedar strips from my canoe, actually cut to a certain length, so that they made an arch in there and they held the roof insulation up. And I can't wait to see how it works. I think it's going to work out great. You can get this bubble wrap at pretty well any hardware store, and it comes in a roll, and you just cut it to 34 inches wide, and that'll fit right across inside the Samurai. So now that I got the 16V and the fuel injection and whatnot, the thing starts great in the winter. I can use the Samurai year round. So now I'm finding out that I need insulation and whatnot. So now I've got her insulated, and I've got the heater cleaned out. I've got a new thermostat in there, and I also made a winter front a whole bunch of tips, basically 4 tips on how to try and get more heat out of the Samurai. And I will let you guys know how it works out in the future. Heading out wheeling tomorrow, and I'm going to try and put a few clips of the video, our wheeling video, at the end of this video. So stick around and watch it if you feel like it. Thanks a lot, guys. So there you have it. Super simple little winter front for the Samurai. You can snap it on, snap it off. And I just built this quick. I mean, you could take some more time and you could stitch this up so it looks good. And I might, if it works good, I'll just get that stuff stitched up and she'll be a beaut. And also the thermostat we did, super simple job. Anybody can do it. So if you guys are liking this sort of content, go ahead, subscribe, share, like these videos, hit the bell to be notified. Make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Fabbin_adventures. I'll catch you guys next Friday.
This is the hour, the darkest place. Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze. It's a good world.